SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्.
Hello students, my name is Ishan Shenolekar and today I will be speaking about Theory of Production second part. Let us start with the objectives of this session. First we will start with understanding the meaning of law of variable proportions. Then we move to study the stages of the law of variable proportions. Moving on, we try and understand the usefulness of this law for business. Then we move to the law of returns to scale. Further, we try and understand the types of returns to scale and finally conclude the session by understanding the usefulness of law of returns to scale for businesses. Let us start with the first part, that is understanding the law of variable proportions. The law of variable proportions is a fundamental concept in microeconomics and production theory. It examines the relationship between inputs and outputs in the short run when one output is variable while others are fixed or kept constant. This law is also known as the law of diminishing marginal returns. Let us look at the general definition. The law of variable proportions states that as the quantity of one factor is increased, keeping other factors fixed or constant, the marginal product of that factor initially increases, reaches a maximum and then starts to decline. Let us look at the key assumptions for this law. First assumption is short run, that is the law operates in the short run only, where at least one factor of production is held fixed. Next, homogeneous input. The input factors are similar or homogeneous in nature. Third is the state of technology remains unchanged or constant. Next, inputs can be divided into smaller units and used in various combinations. Owing to these flexibilities, that is the assumptions, let us look at the stages in the law of variable proportions. The law of variable proportions is also known as the law of returns to a factor. The reason for this is that it pertains to the short run as we have seen, and the returns are only with respect to the variable factor, as other factors are held constant or fixed. That is what short run is. The law can be divided into three distinct stages. First is increasing returns to a factor. Second is diminishing returns to a factor, and third is negative returns to a factor. Let's explore each of this stage in much detail. Stage 1, as we saw, increasing returns to a factor. What are the characteristics of this stage in general? So in this stage, the total product increases at an increasing rate and the marginal product and average product of variable factor are also increasing or rising. This occurs due to better utilization of the fixed factors, improved specialization and efficiencies gained from using variable factor in a little larger amounts. The total product curve will rise steeply in this stage, while both marginal product and average product curves are observed to be upward sloping. For example, let's take units of labor as 1, 2, 3, that is there are 3 labors employed. The total product corresponding to these units of labor is 10, 25 and 45 respectively. Against this, the marginal product is 10, 15 and 20 respectively, whereas the average product is observed to be 10, 12.5 and 15 respectively. So the analysis here is you can observe throughout stage 1 as the variable factor of labor is increasing from 1 to 2 to 3, the total marginal and average products are increasing, while total product is observed at increasing at an increasing rate, that is the gap goes on increasing. Moving on to stage 2, that is diminishing returns to a factor. In this stage the total product continues to increase but at a decreasing rate. We will see in an example. The marginal product starts to decline but remains positive, and the average product also begins to fall. The fixed factors become increasingly inadequate relative to variable factors, leading to overcrowding and less efficient production. The total product curve in this stage is observed to be rising but at a diminishing rate or a decreasing rate. The marginal product curve slopes downwards but remains above 0. The average product curve also slopes downwards. For example, now the units of labor have increased to 4, 5 and 6. The corresponding total product, if we observe, will become 60 when the total units of labor are 4. As the units of labor increase to 5, the total product increases to 70. However, if you go back and compare to the previous amount, the difference between 4 and 5 versus 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 will be lesser, that is increasing at a diminishing rate. It can be clear over here in this example as well as we go ahead. That is, when the units of labor further increases from 5 to 6, again the total product is increasing only by 5. Since marginal product is the gap between 2 units of or 2 points of total products, here we can see that the marginal product is still positive but now declining, that is corresponding to units of labor 4, 5 and 6, marginal product is 15, 10 and 5 respectively. Average product starts to decline, that is 15, 14 and 12.5 respectively. Moving on to stage 3, that is the last stage, which is negative returns to a factor. In this stage, we see an absolute decline in the total product. Marginal product becomes negative and average product continues to decline. The reason for this could be excessive addition of variable factors causes severe inefficiencies and overcrowding, thus reducing the effectiveness of the fixed factors. Graphically, if we imagine, then the total product curve is observed to be declining, marginal product curve falls below 0 and average product curve continues a downward trend approaching towards 0. Let us extend the example that we have been using. So now the units of labor move on to 7, 8 and 9. The total product in this case, we observe when there are 7 units of labor, the total product is 74, around maximum. Beyond this point, as the units of labor increase to 8, the total product now actually starts to decline. It comes to 70. And further, if you employ one more unit of labor, the total product declines further, that is to 65. As we saw, one of the reasons could be too many workers on a fixed machine or a fixed capital, thus reducing efficiency. Since marginal product by definition is the gap between two successive total product points, here we can see it is negative as the total product is declining. So the marginal product is -1, -4 and -5 for this additional units of labor. Against this, average product is also observed to be declining and the corresponding values are around 10.5, 8.7 and 7.2. So here we can see that the average product is falling. Graphically, the law of variable proportions can be observed as follows. Here you can see all the 3 stages and you can compare how in each stage the things are shifting. Now let us look at the usefulness of this law for any given business. Understanding the law of variable proportions is critical for business for several reasons. First is optimal resource allocation. Businesses can determine the most efficient combination of inputs to maximize output and avoid wastage of resources. By recognizing the stages of production, firms can avoid negative return stage, ensuring that resources are used efficiently to keep production costs low, and thus cost management can be done. The knowledge also helps in making informed decisions about scaling production, hiring additional labor, or investing in more fixed capital. The knowledge of marginal productivity assists in setting prices for products and services to ensure utmost profitability. Next point is investment planning. So this part identifies that particular point at which additional investment in a variable factor will yield diminishing returns, thus guiding strategic investment decisions. So in conclusion, the law of variable proportions provides a foundational understanding of how varying one input while holding others constant affects the production of output. This insight helps businesses optimize their resource use, manage costs, and make strategic decisions to enhance productivity and profitability. Let us now move to the next section, that is law of returns to scale. The law of returns to scale examines how changes in the scale of production, that is increasing all inputs proportionately by some proportion, affect the level of output. It is distinct from the law of variable proportions that it focuses on changing one input while holding other factors constant. Let us look at the definition. Returns to scale describe the relationship between proportional changes in all inputs and the resulting proportional change in output in the long run, where, as we saw, all factors of production are variable. Let us move on to understand the types of returns to scale. First, we have increasing returns to scale. This occurs when a proportional increase in all inputs leads to more than proportional increase in the output. For example, if doubling the inputs, that is labor and capital, if you double them, this results in more than double of the output. So the output increases by more than twice when you increase your inputs more than twice. Graphically, the output increases at an increasing rate, indicating a convex production function. Let us now look at the causes of increasing returns to scale. First is economies of scale. So let us understand internal economies of scale. This is cost advantage that a firm experiences as it increases output due to factors such as bulk purchasing of raw materials, specialization and division of labor, advanced technology and efficient production techniques. Next is external economies of scale. This is the cost advantage that occurs due to external factors such as improved infrastructure, industry specific advancements, and concentration of firms in a particular region, leading to shared services and facilities. Technological advancements in general. Adoption of an advanced technology can lead to increased productivity and lowering of marginal costs. Innovations in the production process can also enhance efficiency and output, thus leading to increasing returns. Moving on to managerial efficiency. Larger firms can afford to hire specialized managers, leading to better oversight and coordination of production processes. Improved management techniques can also contribute to overall efficiency. Looking at the learning and experience effects, as firms expand, workers and managers gain experience, leading to improved skills and knowledge. Learning by doing enhances productivity and reduces errors and wastage in general. Now let us look at the second part, that is constant returns to scale. This phenomena occurs when a proportional increase in all inputs lead to an equal proportional increase in the output. For example, if doubling the inputs results in exactly doubling of the output, the production process exhibits constant returns to scale. Graphically, the output increases at a constant rate, indicating a linear production function or a linear curve. Let us look at the causes of constant returns to scale. First is balanced resource utilization. Inputs are used in balance an optimal manner, ensuring that efficiency and productivity per unit of input do not change with scale. There are significant gains or losses. Any change in efficiency as the scale of production changes. Next is homogeneous inputs. Inputs are homogeneous and perfectly substitutable, meaning that increasing their quantities does not affect the overall productivity. The production process is standardized and consistent across different scales of operations. Stability of technology. The technology used in production remains stable and consistent, ensuring the productivity does not vary with scale. No technological advantage or disadvantage for that matter arise from scaling up production. Looking at managerial efficiency, management practices and organizational structure are efficient and scalable, maintaining consistent productivity regardless of the firm's size. Effective coordination and control mechanisms ensure that scaling up does not lead to inefficiencies. Now moving to the third part, that is decreasing returns to scale. This phenomena occurs when a proportional increase in all inputs leads to less than proportional increase in output. So for example, if doubling the inputs results in less than double of the output, the production exhibits decreasing returns to scale. Output increases at a decreasing rate, indicating a concave production function or a concave curve. Let us look at the causes of decreasing returns to scale. Managerial inefficiencies. So larger firms face increased challenges in management and coordination, leading to inefficiencies. Decision making processes become slower and more complex. Looking at resource constraints, limited availability and high quality inputs can lead to reduced productivity as firms scale up. Firms may face difficulties in sourcing consistent quality of inputs as they grow larger. Bureaucracy is another aspect leading to diminishing returns. Increased size of the organization leads to more bureaucracy and administrative overhead. Slower response times and reduced flexibility in operations. Communication issues, such as when firms grow, communication becomes more complex and less efficient. Miscommunications and delays can lead to reduced productivity. Looking at diminishing marginal returns. The principle of diminishing marginal returns states that adding more of one factor of production while holding others constant will eventually yield lower additional output. This applies when increasing all inputs proportionately also leads to less than proportional output increases. Graphical representation of all these returns to scale that we have observed. So here you can observe that you have increasing, constant and decreasing returns to scale. As we saw, constant returns to scale will exhibit a linear pattern, that is, as your input increases, the output is increasing at a constant rate. If you look at increasing returns to scale comparatively, it is showing that as your input increases, the output is increasing at a higher rate. That is why the shape of the graph is accordingly. Whereas decreasing returns to scale is giving us a concave shape, because as you increase the inputs, the proportion of output increases but less than the proportion of inputs. So accordingly, all the three graphs. Let us look at the usefulness of law of returns to scale for business. First is strategic planning. Understanding returns to scale helps businesses plan for expansion. Firms experience increasing returns to scale might focus on growth to exploit cost advantages. Conversely, firms facing decreasing returns to scale might seek ways to innovate or improve efficiency before scaling up further. Next is cost management. Firms operating under increasing returns to scale can reduce average costs as they expand. This leads to higher profitability. Businesses need to be cautious of decreasing returns to scale, where expanding further can lead to higher average costs and reduced profitability. Looking at investment decisions for a business, knowledge of returns to scale influences capital investment decisions. Companies with increasing returns might attract more investment due to higher expected returns. Investors may be wary of firms in industries with prevalent decreasing returns to scale due to potential inefficiencies and lower returns on their investments. Economies of scale. Increasing returns to scale are closely related to economies of scale, where larger production volumes reduce per unit costs, providing a competitive edge. Identifying areas where economies of scale can be achieved helps businesses optimize production process and improve market position. Looking at operational efficiency, analyzing returns to scale enables a firm to identify the most efficient scale of production. They can adjust their production levels to maximize output relative to input costs. This helps in achieving optimal resource allocation and reducing wastage, thus leading to better overall productivity. Next is market strategy. So, in this aspect, firms with increasing returns to scale may adopt aggressive market expansion to leverage their overall profitability and gain better profits. Understanding returns to scale also aids in pricing strategies, allowing firms to set competitive price while maintaining profitability. If we look at the practical examples, then first we can try and look at the manufacturing industry. In the manufacturing sector, increasing returns to scale are common due to automation and technological advancements that enhance productivity as operations expand. For example, an automobile manufacturer benefits from increasing returns to scale by producing more cars with advanced machinery, reducing per unit production costs. Moving on to the technology sector. Technology sector companies often experience increasing returns to scale due to high initial costs of development but low marginal costs of adding new users or customers. For example, software firms like Microsoft or Google, where the cost of producing additional software copies is minimal compared to initial development cost. Let's look at the agricultural sector. Agricultural firms may face decreasing returns to scale due to limitations in land and diminishing returns on additional labor and capital investments. For example, a farm that increases its labor and capital beyond optimal levels may see decrease in productivity per unit of output, leading to higher average costs. So if we conclude this entire discussion, we can say that law of returns to scale is a fundamental concept in production economics, providing insights into how businesses can optimize their production processes and manage costs. By understanding the different types of returns to scale, firms can make informed strategic decisions, operational decisions and investment decisions as well, ultimately enhancing their competitiveness and profitability. So, the law of variable proportions and law of returns to scale for a business student or a business in general is useful to understand how to optimize in the short run and the long run as well. I hope you understood and enjoyed the session. Thank you so much.